my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
They're here.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's showtime.
Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the VHS Strikes Back. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host and very good friend is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to the VHS Strikes Back, the show where we dust off the old video player and go on a nostalgic journey to look at the good and the bad movies of yesteryear. Now, Chris, what are we going to review this week?
Well, Dave, we're going back to 1976. It is my pick, and it is the year of the stitch-up, but I think sometimes Chris doesn't read the memo and just likes to stitch himself up more than anyone else. So this was a movie that I came across years after loving Burt Reynolds movies, Cannonball Run. And if it was on BBC Two or BBC One, it was late at night and I missed the start of it. And I was like, oh, I have to watch this. And I don't know how I ended up with a copy of it or somehow. I don't know, I recorded it or whatever. But we're going to be covering, Dave, a movie that was inspired by Cannonball Baker Sea to Shining Sea Memorial Trophy Dash, Dave. And this movie came before the Cannonball Run, Dave. However, we will talk in depth about the parallels for them two movies. So we are going to be covering, Dave, the Gumball Rally. So I know we talked about it last week, but do you sort of remember when you first saw this one?
I cannot say for certain I have definitely watched this movie, but it is so familiar. I think I've watched it, but it is a little bit too early in my memory to be really, really certain. And if I'm just, it's a long fucking time ago, Chris. It's nearly 50 years ago that was that came out. So yeah, but I'm certain what it conjures up for me is when I'd be posted to be minded by my nans, so two working parents, and so just there you go, you're at your nans. And I remember my uncle Steve he was like the sage of great videos when I was a kid. So I talked to him in the past about Star Wars and Superman and everything, but that was when I was at home. That was when I had, the collection of the movies that I wanted to watch. And, I guess, my dad thought I wanted to watch. But Steve used to always come up with these gems, and the types of movies were things like this. It was like Gumball Rally, which, again, I think was probably one of those. But things like Every Which Way But Loose, Convoy, Smokey and the Bandit. I remember saying to him once, and I must have only been like, I don't know, 6, 7 or something like that. It's like, you always have like the greatest movies. You're always able to find these good movies. How do you do it? And of course, fucking stupid kid question, isn't it? It's just like, I'm just great, mate. Fucking set you up for that one. So yeah, it's in that kind of space in my memory where it's like, right, being at my nan's, watching this movie, again, being a kid. It's not a fucking kids movie at all, is it? But that's where it takes me back to. How about yourself?
So yeah, I think, like I said before, I think it's one of them ones where I just come across it at some point. And I think when I watched it, I was thinking, this is a rip-off of the Cannonball Run. But then obviously Chris's maths never really maths up, Dave. And I'm like, yeah, this is definitely a rip-off. And it's like, oh, actually, this was before the Cannonball Run. So I think Hal Needham and his original fucking concept, Dave, of movie needs to be questioned when we go through this review, because the Cannonball Run nicks pretty much every idea, beat for beat, of this movie.
Yeah.
But I think the Cannonball Run's a better movie, full stop, but we'll get into that. But yeah, I love the cars in this. I love the cars in it. And I'm not saying any more, Dave, but yes, the cars make the movie.
Yeah, I am desperate to say more. But I kind of want to get into the review before we get into our opinions, and we'll see how aligned those are. But Chris, should we get into our trailer?
Let's go. Now, Dave, you asked for this, and I'm going to try and do it, okay?
Let's go.
In 1976, America hit peak fuel crisis, peak polyester, and peak idiocracy.
It's Chip Daniels. nice of you to join us, Chip.
Thanks very much, David.
I've longed for your voice for many years now, but anyway, 12 misfit drivers, one illegally sanctioned race, and absolutely no working brakes.
From New York to not quite LA, they're driving like lunatics in everything from hearses to hovercrafts.
Meet Ace the Clutch McGrath. A man with a lead foot and a restraining order from every state east of the Mississippi River.
And don't forget Sister Bernadette and her sisters of perpetual motion, racing for charity, armed with rosary beads and nitrous oxide.
You'll laugh, debatable. You'll cry.
Yeah.
You'll listen to the safety standards of 1970s cinema.
From the directors of the Convoy Massacre and Fistful of Disco.
With stunts so reckless, even Evel Knievel said, "Yeah, I'm good."
Rated R for reckless rubbish and road-based mayhem.
Strap in, strap on for the Gumball Rally, where the only rule is there's no rules.
The Gumball Rally. They came. I wish I came.
Michael Bannon, a wealthy but bored businessman and candy maker, issues the code word Gumball to his fellow automobile enthusiasts who gather in a garage in New York City to embark on a coast-to-coast race with no catalytic converter and no 55-mile-an-hour speed limit in the shortest amount of time. There is only one rule: there are no rules. Now, Chris, what do you reckon to the opening of this movie?
Well, Dave, as I said before the trailer, I've stitched myself up because I've had this copy in my collection for a few years and never watched it. As I say, I rescued it from the charity shop maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And then when I realised I was putting it on, I thought, you know what? I've only got 2 pieces of equipment that play Blu-rays now. So I've got my Xbox Series X on my PS5, and I'm like, right, I'll put on my PS5, big telly, let's have it on. And then I looked on the back of it, Dave, and it's a German copy of the Gumball Rally. And I'm like, oh, this better have the actual UK, the proper language stuff, please. It must have the option. So anyway, he does, it comes on, we get the full, I had to do it in Australia though, Dave, for some reason. The UK's on like page 3, and you got that whole thing about someone running around like a flea market with, piracy and everything and all that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Proper classic DVD. So I'm thinking I'm going to put this on. I know it's not as good as the Cannonball Run, but I'm thinking it's going to be, I might appreciate it a bit more because the cars that are in it, the main 2, the Ferrari Daytona and the Carroll Shelby, the Cobra Shelby, which I watch like car stuff every week, like barn finds in America. And if you can get a Ferrari Daytona and a Shelby, Dave, a Cobra Shelby, you basically retire into an island somewhere. They're worth millions, 2 or 3 million each, like beautiful cars. So rare. You get a lot of Cobras, AC Cobras, that are actually replicas. You get a lot of them. So people like, they're very rare. You get originals. So, and they are real ones in this movie. They actually are. And I'm watching thinking, there's going to be something about this. Now, what I kept doing at the end of this movie as well, you know what I kept thinking, Dave? So we relate to this. Remember, I don't know if you were in the band at the time, but remember we used to do Valerie, which is Amy Winehouse made famous, didn't she? But the Zootons were actually the ones who created the song. It's their song that she covered, but a lot of people, a bit like Proud Mary with Tina Turner, and then you've got Creedence Clearwater Revival. It's actually their song, but like she made it famous, Tina Turner, by covering it, and everyone thinks it's her song, and it's not. It's a cover. This is what this looks like. It's like I can appreciate the Cannonball Run even more, because it is a rip-off of this movie, even down to some of the quirkiness, some of the characters, but it's just a better version of the original, if that makes sense. This is a really shit movie. This is really boring. And other than the cars, and it's not even got some of that 70s like pizzazz with the car chases. You get like the engines revving and that. And I was reading up on it, like the Jag stuff about the Jag breaking down was a bit of a fuck you to Jaguar, because they asked for a car for the movie, and Jag were like, nah, you're not having it. So they made a joke about it not being, apparently that was one of the worst ever top 50 worst ever cars ever. But that was like the joke.
no.
But it's when they're driving around New York, and you can clearly see that they've had to shut all the roads down. And you've got this like Ferrari and a fucking Cobra driving down the streets of Manhattan, down Broadway. And, you know, we've both been New York. I know obviously now it's mostly pedestrianised around like Times Square, but at that point it wasn't. And New York is a busy city. Even in 1976, it had been hammered. And there's a couple of scenes as it goes out of New York where you see a few people and a few trucks and that. But I just couldn't buy it when I'm watching that, when they sort of said, like, this is bollocks. This is like that Tom Cruise movie, isn't it, where like he shuts down Times Square and all that. You know, I don't know. The continuity's bad and the acting's even fucking worse, Dave. So yeah, I don't think he starts off very well. And I don't know what I was expecting, but this is just a really poor Cannonball Run. Even though it predates it, it is a shocking movie with some terrible acting.
Yeah, I am not going to be that far away from you. The only thought I had when I watched this, I thought, for the car enthusiast, for the petrol head or the gearhead, if you're in the US, I can see why, you know, you might like this movie, because some of the cars are absolutely stunning. But that's not why I need to give up, you know, a best part of a couple of hours of my life to watch it. And so, and I tell you, one of my pet hates, right? And it sounds like a good line, doesn't it? There's only one rule. There's no rules. And then they go on to proceed to tell you what the rules are. You know, you're going to start here. You know, here's where you finish first past the post. Those are rules. Those are rules of the race. So the whole thing of like, there are no rules is always bullshit whenever anyone says that. So it just means there's not loads of rules. You know, it's not like, I don't know, well, any kind of sport that has rules in it. But anyway, that is not the worst thing about this movie. The fact is, it is just so fucking boring. There's no story. There's no characters that I particularly like. Yeah, and the problem is, I guess the song I was thinking about was All Along the Watchtower, which was originally written by Bob Dylan. But even he said after Jimi Hendrix covered it and made it his own version, it's far better than his version. So for me, it's like this one. So maybe Hal Needham, you know, was a fan of this, but thought, you know, I can make a movie like this, but good. So, yeah, I'm kind of putting all my cards on the table quite early with this one. It's just, I really struggled with this one, and I struggled to see why it was popular, unless it was just literally for watching cars. But you can, I don't know, have a poster of a car or something, you know, and for me, it'd do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I know, like with Hal Needham, I think he ran the actual Cannonball Run in an ambulance. That was like part of the thing, I think, when we covered it. But even down to like the office guy, the businessman, that Michael Bannon, you know, he's bored. Well, obviously in the original Cannonball Run, it's the guy who's on the motorbike who does the fucking, you know, he parachutes out, doesn't he? And he's singing away and all that sort of thing. And he's got that guy in the back of his film, but he's like a proper high-powered exec, you know, on Wall Street and all that. And that's what you get with this. And I'm thinking, yes, I get how these, but the comparisons watching it were like, oh my God. And how's Burt Reynolds not gone, this is just a Gumball Rally, isn't it, really? You know what I mean? Because I must admit though, watching this, this time and researching it, because I never researched last time when I watched it, obviously just watch it for what it is. I never realised that it was based on the actual Cannonball Run race. So the similarities, but even down to like the two cops, well, Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin are the cops in Cannonball Run 2.
Yeah.
And you've got the cops there, you know, and it's like the gags, because I think what ruins the movie, I think, as well, is you've got about 40 minutes of the vehicles not doing anything. So it's all like you're laying the table but you only need 15 minutes to lay that table of the characters. And it goes on. And that weird thing with the cop Roscoe, who, Dave, I'm thinking, he's been in loads of films. The main thing was he's actually in Bloodsport. He's the one in Bloodsport chasing Van Damme, Frank Dukes. I kept thinking Roscoe.
Is he with Forrest Whitaker?
Forrest Whitaker, yeah, that's him. Because I kept thinking, like, where do I know him from? He plays a bit of a comical character. And then I looked before this, like, he's been in quite a few Planet of the Apes he's been in and all that stuff. Obviously, I've just Bloodsport's the one for us, for both of us, really, remembering. But he doesn't work either, because like when they actually go on the race and his car gets smashed about, he sort of runs off with a briefcase. He's like, I know that he's no mobile phones and he's got a ring for backup, but he's playing that Foyt guy who's in Cannonball Run, who's chasing bloody Farrah Fawcett. He's playing the same. But this is before the Cannonball Run. That's what's really difficult, watching it and then going, hang on a minute, it's just a rip-off. So, and I'm with you, it's just boring. For 40 minutes, we get no action. And then when they do start driving around New York, it's just like panned shots because they can't drive anywhere. I don't know. It's just a really bizarre movie. I think the editing's terrible in it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and it's funny you say about the panned shots. For me, I'm going to give it a tiny, tiny pass, but there's just something that crystallizes it in that time. It almost reminds me of, I don't know, Chips or something. The TV shows where you always have that sort of pan shot and you see cars driving over the bridge and what have you. So I did kind of like that just from a nostalgic point of view. But even the two girls, the fact that you've got the two women, but like you say, it's hard not to be influenced by the Cannonball Run. But then again, it's just without the comedy. Without it bills this as an action comedy, but I'm still searching for the comedy. But there's one bit where one of the girls, she's talking to the other fellas, and they're being all lechy and leery in the other car, and she says something like, "Oh, if you win, I'll sleep with you," or something, and then all of this is off camera. But then the next time you go back to them, they're all like, the one who's driving is just a bit mardy, and the other one's like, well, because they'd lost the race. And I'm like, what is that? Is that the gag? They did actually go through with it and sleep with these blokes. That was the implication, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was weird because, and you're right, that didn't make any sense. I think as well, the guy with the Rolls Royce, he's funny to say that, the one who was like the valet.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, he's not there when all the cars take off, but he's in the race. And I'm like, well, he's not traveling very fast. He's got that woman with him. There was bits there that you say them two guys chase it. Nothing made sense. And them two guys are driving the same pickup truck that the guy with the stutter, Mel Thingy, who's in Smoking a Bandit, drives in the first one. They end up, the one that ends up in the swimming pool, and they have to paint it and everything and all that. He's with Terry Bradshaw, who's American, one of Burt Reynolds' mates. And that's why I'm struggling with it, because I'm like, this is like a Temu version of the Cannonball Run. But it shouldn't be. This should be the one that the Cannonball Run gets slayed for ripping off. Now, whether at the time the Cannonball Run did, and everyone, because of the star cast that Roger Moore, Burt Reynolds, maybe they just didn't really go, oh yeah, maybe someone, it just seemed a little bit similar to the Gumball Rally. But I've never watched a lot of things over the years with the Cannonball Run where it says this is a rip-off of the Gumball. I just think the Gumball's such a shit movie. A lot of people have probably not watched it. They've probably got, I'm not watching that. Because even there's so many continuity problems. Raul Julia's character, Franco Bertolini, is seducing women all over this fucking film. But the car's still moving. But yet he can find time to basically, slip one in there, have a bit with one of these women, and then the next minute he's back in the car. And there's no reason, because the car's supposed to move for 24 hours or however long it takes to get to the other side of, America. And so these all them bits, and I know why they're doing it. They're playing that like, Lothario, all these women love him, and there's a reason, obviously, because he plays out at the end. But I'm with you. I'm finding it really difficult to talk about this in a positive way, but even to pull out some of the jokes that you see, because they're not jokes. It's just a terrible movie. And like you said, it's got nuances of the 70s, and that's what I was expecting. You go to the Cannonball and it's got a bit of a glamour about it, and it's like the cameras all got upgraded. They're not HD, but these cameras, but the lighting's better. This feels like a 70s car chase movie, but it's just not got something that hooks you in, if that makes sense. It doesn't bring you in. I'll never watch this again. I know I won't, even though I've got it in my collection. I'll never put this on again, it's just such a bad movie, and there's loads of cliches in there. It's just really, really awkward. It's like an awkward movie, I think, watching it, and I can understand why you struggle watching it, because I had to watch this in 2 or 3 parts, which I didn't think I would.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no real story to it, no plot. It's just stuff happens. You have these little weird sketches, and I don't know. It's weird to think, how much we kind of enjoy the Cannonball run, and it, what exactly the formula is to make that movie. And like I say, I just think the jokes are a bit funny. I do think, if I was watching this, I mean, I guess it must have been popular at the time, but I can't think it'd have been massively popular. Maybe people just saw it and thought, you know what, I can do that and just make it better. But you talk about, Raul Julio's Franco, twice we saw that silly joke where he's putting on that he's like this kind of gangster, this Italian gangster, but actually it's a water pistol. Oh, good one, mate. Good one.
Yeah.
But he does it twice. It wasn't funny the first time. It definitely wasn't funny the second time. And so I was thinking, would you... Usually if you see something like that, it's the old Chekhov's gun thing, isn't it? You see the gun, so you know it's going to be used later. So the water pistol thing happens at the beginning, and then where they're shaking that guy down who set him up, to be caught by the police and stuff, they kind of scare him a little bit. But it's like, I don't know, it just didn't land for me. I can't think of anything that was funny at all. And the guy with the limo, I'm trying to think what car it was now. There's a guy at the gas station. There's a guy at the gas station, isn't there, with his girlfriend?
That's it, the roller, yeah.
Yeah, and then they're getting, she's getting properly manhandled, fucking assaulted by these Hells Angels at the gas station, and then they're just like, oh, let's fucking leg it. I mean, are Harleys that quick? I don't know if they're that quick, but yeah, and then that's weird, and then cuts back to him later, and he's like, he's ready to break it off with her and stuff, and he's not asked. And I was just like, I have no idea what's going on here or why I should give a shit.
Why Chris is such a bellend for picking this. I know. I was thinking the same, because that scene with the guy, and he's the valet, he's got that girl, she's really pretty, isn't she? She's there like wiping the window down, and obviously the bikers are looking very reminiscent of the Cannonball Run 1, Dave, where they have the fight. Obviously, we don't really get a fight, but what's weird is she's there, they're sort of like heckling her and everything, but he goes, get in the car. Now, if you've got a load of Hells Angels there, they've got their chicks with them, I suppose they call them, and all that stuff, proper going 70s there, Dave, with the chicks, but they're on the back of the bike, these proper, like, dirty looking Hells Angels, like they look rough asses, like they beat him up. If your missus was there, and she's got like a bikini on, and you're like, get in the car, and she goes, yeah, I'm just going to go and get a Coke. Oh, that's going to
get in the fucking car.
Get in the car. We're going to get, and then there's a line, isn't there, where he says, like, I'm going to get beaten up and you're going to get rich. She goes, no, it might be you get rich and I get beat, and all this. And I'm like, it's not even funny, but that whole thing, you're right, where they're like touching her ass, and why would you go and get a Coke? I know it's part of the movie, but even then, that bike's in front of him and he's nudging it and they're like, don't touch the bikes. I would have just fucking gone. And when the guys are like pulling all the faces on the windows, I'm like, none of this makes sense, because he's like shitting it, and I'm like, just floor the fucking pedal, you dick. It's really bad, that scene. It's not funny. None of it works. And you're right. I mean, Harley Davidson, they probably have a pickup of, say, a car. So maybe they would have the pickup of roller. They're more agile. But that whole thing with the car, and he's not driving it fast. And I kept thinking, well, this guy who's driving it, he wasn't even there when they left New York. He'd already left New York. I just didn't understand what was going on. Them two guys who you said who were chasing the two girls, and they're looking at the cameras as if to say, oh no, now we're going to have to fucking sleep with him. I'm like, but who are them? They were like chasing them. I don't understand. There was no context to why these random people were getting these scenes or what they were. If they're undercover cops or something, I'd get it. But none of it made it. It just like two lechy fuckers who were chasing them women. It was so bizarre.
Yeah. Yeah, good old 70s relic. But yeah,
Yeah.
like you say, the guy with the roller, like, is he in the race? Like, how does that work? You know, because he's got to deliver. It's a bit like The Hitcher, isn't it, Chris? Where
Yeah.
we watched that. Where, I guess you had these people who drove across America to deliver cars and stuff, rather than just putting it in a lorry. But anyway, it is what it is. So yeah, none of it makes sense. It's just a really dull movie, and even so you're going through there. I tell you, I did obviously see a young Gary Busey. Very much a different kind of character here than the one we saw in Lethal Weapon. He's a bit more southern here, a bit more bonkers. He would get much more bonkers later on in the years.
In life, yeah.
Yeah, so it was interesting to see him pop up there.
He was 22 in this, and he looks dead old.
He looks the same.
He looks older than this than he did in Lethal Weapon. It's fucking bizarre. He's not funny either, though, is he, Dave? He's shouting stuff, and it's like none of it's funny. He's like shouting off of his voice. I've dropped us right in it with this one. What a fucking turkey I've pulled out. I mean, Year of the Stitch Up. This is not one of the worst I've done for stitching us up, but it was not. I think what I would say is it's not the worst movie ever, and it's not, but it's probably one of the most unenjoyable, is probably even a word, unenjoyable movies we've ever covered, if that makes sense. I found this one of the hardest movies we've covered to review because it was just a slog of nothing. It was so poor. Even the cars didn't save it. Even when the cars are going at full speed, the continuity's all off. I mean, they end up on the thingy river again, don't they? Where we had the Los Angeles River, where we've got like Grease, Terminator 2.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same spot at the end. And I always remember, going into this thinking, remember that shot where the Cobra's there with the Daytona and they're racing each other. But even what's weird, it's like in the Cannonball Run, the first one, the two women win it because Captain fucking Chaos just drops a bollock and goes to get the bird, doesn't he? And the dog, and the two women win it. And then the second one, them two who've got the chimpanzee, they win it, don't they? Like the two guys. That Mel thing you're saying with the stutter, he's in the second one with Tony Danza, and they win it, which is the gag at the end with like the Sheik's dad, who looks younger than him at the Sheik. Well, there you go. But with this, it's like the only race really is the Ferrari and the Cobra. The other ones are just there for comedy purposes, aren't they? The other two, they're the two cars in the race. They're the two that mean something, which is Bertolini. And I think it's a bit of a nod to, it's a great film, that the Ford versus Ferrari. But when Ford got into like the races and everything and all that, because Ferrari, like Le Mans and all that, Ferrari were just on a different level. I think it's a bit of a nod to it because the actual Ford wins it at the end, and that's like the idea behind it. Ferrari dominated, Ford brought this GT40 in from nowhere, and it was faster, but it couldn't turn corners, and then he refined it. It's a great movie, that. I love that movie, Ford and the Ferrari.
Coming up soon on a late fees episode.
It is. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's a cracking movie. Matt Damon's brilliant as Carroll Shelby, and I didn't go this time. I went to the Pinball Hall of Fame in Vegas, but right near it is the Shelby Museum. So when we go back in September, we're going to go to it, and it's got like the Fast and Furious car in there. It's got the movie, the GT40s, the original GT40s, which are the proper racing cars there. They've got Cobras, proper Mustangs. So I'm going to go to that. It's a free one as well. So I'm going to go. It's right near the Las Vegas sign, so looking forward to that. But yeah, I love Mustang. I've got a bloody Mustang tattooed on my arm, Dave, as well as my Trans Am. I've actually got it's a Proof 66, but it's actually pretty much the car that I've got in 60 seconds.
I'm glad you said your arm there.
Yeah, we went on my
I wondered where you were going.
Well, that'd be a fucking mini, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? But there you go.
I thought you when you said it in the moment, I thought you were going to say you had it tattooed on your arse.
All right. Well, there you go. That'd definitely be a fucking micro machine, but there you go. Coming collections of 5, though, Dave. But yeah, I just think as an overall product and movie, like, it is of its time. Like you said before, it's 50 years old. It's not going to be like we covered, I've covered a few car movies, and you did speak to me this week about this. We were talking, and I did say to you, I've dropped a bollock with this, but my next pick could be a car pick, and I think it's going to be even worse than this, Dave. But I think more on the lines of the piss take side of it.
Yeah,
it's an 80s movie. It's a car chase of such. And very similar, Dave, shall I say, to these sort of movies, but that's all I'll say. But that could be my next pick. But yeah, this just doesn't land. It's just so poor as a movie, and everything. The acting's terrible. I know Raoul Julia went on and did a lot of good things, did he? You know, he was like quite a respected actor, but everything else about this is just low
Street
budget.
Fighter.
Legend, Dave. Wasn't he in thing, you know, with he was in the one with the Rookie, wasn't he? Wasn't he the guy that was out like him? Was he not the one in the Rookie when Clint Eastwood gets assaulted by that woman? Was he not the husband?
I love how that's how you identified the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know what I was talking about.
Stuck that one in the mental bank. So.
Yeah. It wasn't in the wank bank that scene, Dave, but yeah, he's
So
anyway,
I'm just looking. I don't
maybe
see.
it wasn't him.
I don't see the Rookie here.
Maybe. It
Oh
wasn't.
no, he was. He was in the Rookie.
Yeah, I thought so.
Also, the Addams Family.
Yeah.
Addams Family Values.
Fucking hell, Dave. Luckily, no one's picked any of them pieces of fucking shit to cover. That's the main thing.
There's a few other names I recognise here. Tequila Sunrise.
Oh, Tequila Sunrise. Yeah, what's that one? Is that Mel Gibson?
Tequila
Sunrise.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in between Lethal Weapons. I think he filmed that. But yeah, I can only apologise, Dave, for picking this movie. I've done myself. I've ruined your week, and yeah. Well, that's not a bad thing, because I know that you're probably more angry than me watching this. But I was watching it going, I fucked up again here. I've messed up here. I can only apologise.
I've just got nothing to latch onto. I mean, the ending. Again, I'm trying to think, is this supposed to be funny? Because you basically have, you know, the copper talking to Michael Bannon, you know, and it's all chummy, isn't it? It's like, oh, you didn't catch us this time. And the guy's like, oh, God, I didn't. But then he got him for illegal parking. It's like, ha, ha, ha. You know, but Bannon was just inviting him for a beer. And I'm like, are we going to do this thing where it's like, is the story supposed to be, oh, well, you know, for previous years, they haven't managed to catch them, but next year I'll get you, you know, kind of thing. And I was just like, I don't know what it is. Just none of that landed for me.
No, I'm with you. And the fact that we've got the busty blonde there, you know, Bertolini's going to win. And then we do get, like, the end of the Cannonball Run, but without, you know, obviously we have the cleavage with Adrian Barbeau all the way through, Dave. We've got to say, amazing boobicles, but there you go. But you get that bit, don't you, where he loses it then, and then the Cobra goes through to win, and it's just like a damp squib at the end, isn't it? There's no real payoff. They can't get through to the finish line because there's a load of Asian tourists going across, another cliche, and it's like, then the woman's there with her boobs, like, you know, cleavage there, and he's like, oh, hang on a minute, do we win the race, do we not? And then he just sort of finishes. But I will say, the guy on the bike, who apparently was a throwback and to Charlie Chaplin, that's who he was supposed to be playing in this movie. Yeah, he has the last word in the movie. But the stuntman who goes off the bike, he nearly hits that fucking cruise liner or whatever it is, that shit. When he goes through, that's the last shot of the movie. But again, Roscoe, we've got very much Buford T. Justice levels, Dave. He's about to retire. He's been after Bannon and Smith since in high school, but he's never caught them, which is bizarre. He knows it's them. He's seen them in the vehicles, but for some reason he can't arrest them unless they're sat in the cars. Well, just fucking arrest them. Just arrest them. And then obviously, but they say the words, you know, Gumball, basically, we're going to race you back to New York. And I know the Gumball Rally is actually a yearly race, like the Cannonball Run. Because the Cannonball runs from Connecticut to Los Angeles, LA, San Diego, whatever it is, and then this one's New York across in it. But it's the same race originally, just that the Gumball started in New York for this movie. But yeah, I was out at this point, but I was laughing, going, I know Dave's hating every single minute of this. There's nothing positive you're going to get out of this one, Dave.
Yeah, the guy on the bike, it's just, again, I think the whole movie isn't for me, and I just didn't find anything funny about it. But I couldn't even imagine what was it that other people think about it. And so, yeah, the one interesting thing about it is how it's maybe influenced the Cannonball Run.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, if you take an idea about the actual race and you make a movie, that's one thing, because you can go in all kinds of different directions. But the Cannonball Run has so many scenes, so many characters that are so similar to this. You can see it's 100%, I would say influenced Chris, but plain ripped off. But they just did it way better. And so that is the weird thing. I'm sure if you were watching this in 1976, you'd have watched it with a completely different perspective, but I just don't have it. And yeah, I got nothing for this.
No, I'm the same. And you know what's really sad, Dave, as well? Roscoe, was just reading up on there, the cop, Norman Burton, he actually died in a car crash as well.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, let's just bring you down even more, Chris. You know,
yeah.
We
were having such fun there.
So, Dave, shall we get into our scores?
Let's go.
So, Dave, after that, morbid, segue into the reviews, this is a bad movie. It's terrible. The cars give it a bit of oomph because I love watching them, knowing that these are the original cars. One thing I didn't mention, Dave, which is quite good, is that all the cars were driven by the actors and actresses. So there was no stunt doubles. They actually drove the cars.
Yeah, you wouldn't get that today, would you?
No, you wouldn't, to be fair, considering how bad some of the brakes were and how especially the AC Cobra and the Daytona, they were racing style sort of convertibles, so they would have been hard to drive. So I believe one of the characters as well, Linda Vaughn, she's actually a NASCAR racer, Dave. She was a racer. She taught Raul Julian that to driving not an automatic, in a manual. They'd never driven manuals. There was a few of them, so she was like part of the stunts, the drive and everything, which is really good on the film. So there's a good bit of trivia there, but I just think as a movie, it's terrible. And like we said before, the weird guy in the Rolls Royce, the valet, you've got them two guys who seem to be chasing him, and then it looks like the two women have got to sleep with him. Why? Nothing to do with the movie. There's no real understanding of what the plot is. But you're right, Cannonball Run is just a complete rip-off of this, but not in a... Cannonball Run luckily elevates it and makes you forget that it probably was the Gumball that it nicked it. I'm going to send this to Alderaan, Dave. It's a bad one. It's a shocking movie, and I'll never watch it again, and I can only apologise to you and everyone else. Basically, I fucked up. But there you go. Dave, what say you about this wondrous movie?
The only thing positive I think I can say is this is the year of the stitch-up. So whereas in any other year you could say you fucked up, I think honestly, today, you can say you fucking landed it. Because this film, Chris, is fucking shit. I will never, ever watch this again. It is rubbish. It is boring. It's got some beautiful cars, but I don't need to sacrifice hours out of my life to fucking watch it. So there's nothing about the characters. There's nothing funny at all. It's just drab all the way through. And yeah, I never ever need to see this again. And so out of every movie that you've ever picked, I think this is probably the worst. So Alderaan from me.
Love it, Dave. Even though I hate it, you hate it more. I love it, my friend. Absolutely love it. So massive thank you to everyone for listening. I can only apologise, guys. Hopefully you've watched it along with us. Now, Dave, bear in mind this marvel that I've brought to the table. What have you got for us next week? Because it is your pick, my friend.
Well, if you check the calendar, you'll see that we've got
Star Trek 3. Yeah, fucking Rafa Khan or whatever he says. Yeah, go on, sci-fi bollocks, bring it to me.
well, I've shot and missed many times through this year of the stitch-up because you've somehow, even fucking Highlander 2, you somehow found enjoyment out of. So I thought, yes, I mean, I had to go with the old classic, stick it in the calendar. It's Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. However, I'm not veering too far away from that. I am going to stick with Star Trek.
Oh, fuck off.
And as we record now, it's got 5 days less left on Amazon Prime, so we need to watch it quick. But I've had this one in my back pocket. Now, I don't know how this is going to go, because I think if I was to try and actually introduce someone into the Star Trek movies, I would probably start with this one. I remember watching this at the cinema, and I remember thinking at the time, this is easily the best Star Trek film that had been to date. But to be honest, I would say even since, for me, I've not thought about it too deeply. But Chris, this will be Star Trek First Contact.
They've handed me resignation, and I'm sorry. You have to get AI to replace me. I'm gone. Oh my God. You know I'm going to hate this more than you watching the Gumball Rally. Absolute.
I really hope so.
nonsense.
But I don't know. I let's see. You might find a little bit of enjoyment. Probably
Yes.
not, but let's see.
Yes. Well, anyway. But Dave, just before we get into the thanks and thank everyone, we had an email this week, which is unbelievable. And our, review of Raiders of the Lost Ark, the adaptation, Dave, not the adaptation, the adaptation. I've got it right now, finally. We've had an email from Eric, Dave, the director, Eric Zahler. So he's emailed us, and he's actually had a listen to the podcast. So I'm just going to read out one of the paragraphs he sent us. He said, "Thank you for all the love in thanks for all the love in your just drop review of our Raiders adaptation. Loved and laughed at the banter and observations, especially loved the song tribute, The Room Is on Fire. Wow, so perfect." So, and he's emailed, we spoke a couple of other things. So we really appreciate Eric. He listened to it, his message, and said, "That's brilliant, Dave." So when that dropped in our inbox this week, I was so pleased. I caught it about 4 a.m. I thought, I'm not texting Dave. He always says his phone's off and it doesn't matter. But I thought, I don't want to just text you at 4. But I was proper buzzing with that, Dave. I was a brilliant email. So thank you so much. And then at the end, he's just put, "May the Betamax wash over you, Dave." So brilliant. Thank you so much, Eric, if you listen to this. We really appreciate that support.
No, it was amazing to get that email. And he also said, by the way, you didn't tell people where they could buy it. So here's the link.
I'm skating over that, Dave.
So if you're listening now, and if you go back to the show notes, you'll find there's a link, and you can actually go and buy Raiders of the Lost Ark, the adaptation.
Wow.
And there's all kinds of other stuff that you can get on there, merchandise and stuff. So yeah, no, that was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it was. Thank you so much. So, and again, thank you to everyone listening. Really appreciate it. If you do want to email us, as Eric did, the VHS Strikes Back at gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media at VHS Strikes Back. To be fair, Dave, it's actually nice getting that, because he's not someone asking, as we always say, for martial arts lessons or surfing lessons or whatever. So it's nice that we actually got a proper email there to the VHS. That was very good, that. So thank you so much.
Seem to be getting a lot at the minute for, here's your custom website, that you can have, or all kinds of, other things. So we haven't had Kung Fu lessons for a while.
But yeah, if you do want to support us, please get over to patreon.com/the VHS Strikes Back. So the roll call of honour for today, and a big thank you to Nick, Greg, Gareth, Mike, Lee, Helen, Dylan, Dan, Justin, Susan, Timothy, Matt, Hales, Ken, Lucky Lulu Green, Herbs, Jacks, Matt, Blake, John Hammond, and Mr. Tony Farina. So thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate your support. But David, it's my pick for the movie. Well, it's my pick for me. It's terrible. But I've got a song for us this week. It is
nice.
Not a Dave Horrocks special. However, this movie is what inspired the Cannonball Run day. So I've got a Cannonball Run type song mixed in with it, the Gumball Rally. So are you ready for this one?
I can't wait.
Let's go.
Oh, I like that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you say Cannonball, but this is more 70s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gumball's on. The message is clear for the rebels and racers. The time is now here. From a candy tycoon with a mischievous grin to a smooth talking Italian.
I could see this at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, when they're doing that Predator style look to the camera at the end.
Hidey hide.
Yeah.
Coast to coast free. No rules, no limits. Just the brave and the free. From the heart of the city to the California sun, a two-lane black top adventure.
Hopping up and down here.
I am.
And a squeal of the tires, fueled by defiance and burning desires. They're chasing the horizon, breaking the law in the thunderous, glorious Gumball Raw. There's a sweet AC Cobra, a flash of blue and white, a Ferrari Daytona, a beautiful sight, a Porsche 911 with ladies at the wheel.
I had to get the cars in, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
The quiet Hungarian on a bike full of woes. Through mishaps and mayhem, the story just grows. While Roscoe the cop, with a determined frown, swears he'll bring this whole chaotic circus down. It's the Gumball Rally, a coast-to-coast spree. No rules, no limits, just the brave and the free. From the heart of the city to the California sun, a two-lane black top adventure, a race to be won with the roar of the engine and the squeal of the tires, fueled by defiance and burning desires. They're chasing the horizon, breaking the law in the thunderous, glorious, glorious Gumball Raw. Through desert highways and mountain terrain, dodging the speed traps, playing the game.
Hey, the key change, Dave.
Keeping the spirit of the open road alive. From the concrete canyons to the ocean breeze, a symphony of horsepower carried on the breeze. It's the Gumball Rally, a coast-to-coast spree. No rules, no limits, just the brave and the free. From the heart of the city to the California sun, a two-lane black top adventure, a race to be won with the roar of the engine and the squeal of the tires, fueled by defiance and burning desires. They're chasing the horizon, breaking the law in the thunderous, glorious, glorious Gumball Raw. So here's to the Mavericks, the ones who won't bend, who'll race to the finish, right to the very end. The Gumball Rally, a legend, a dare, a testament to freedom beyond all compare. Yeah, the Gumball Rally, let the engines roar.
It's good there, mate. Bass is great, but I only did this like a handful of times, but I tried out just, bringing the bass up. When they have the strap really short and then the bass is up around your chest. It just looked like a fucking prick, but I just did it for almost like the novelty value, and you've got to shake your head, in a particular motion. So that bass line just reminded me of that. But no, very good, sir, very good. I cannot fucking wait for next week, though, to make you suffer a little bit of Star Trek. See what you think of that. But thank you very much, sir. Thanks to all our listeners out there. Thanks to all our supporters. And we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I'll be back.
That's odd.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Wax on, wax off.
Get to the chopper!
One ring to go.
All right. Ding, ding.
Bust you up. Go for it.
Well, here we go.
Ain't so bad, ain't so bad, ain't so bad. Come on, ain't so bad. Come on. You must be crazy or something. I'm crazy. You just a stupid. Yeah, maybe you stupid. I ain't breathing heavy. He's a fool. He's stupid. I seen you at 6
I must break